Let's explore some basic aggregations in DataPrime. So these are some of the really simple use cases. In later videos, we're going to get into the more complex stuff. But just some simple aggregations to get us started. First is the count operator. So we run a pipe again, and we simply just type the word count. This will count the output of the logs, so now we know we've got 94,080. This is really, really simple and is most commonly done at the end of these kinds of queries. I particularly like this one though, because if you have a really complex query, rather than running the whole query, scanning a load of data, bringing it all back and then counting the results, simply put count on the end and aggregate all of that on the server side. Very, very efficient, very powerful, very performant. Your queries will run faster. It's a much cleaner experience in my experience. So that's the count operator. The next is count by. So to count by is really straightforward. You can see here that we select a field. So for example, I'll go back to AWS region. Now when I do that, this is actually a shortcut that I'm running because I have $d AWS region. What I could do is something like this. Like this. So this is going to pretty much return the same thing. That the time zone is slightly shifting a little bit, which is why the numbers change a touch. But group by AWS region aggregation count. But this is such a common use case to group by a field and then count the number of values. So instead of doing group by, we can just do count by instead. So data AWS region, and again the numbers will change slightly because we're in this sliding window of 30 minutes. So every second the numbers are changing. We can see that most logs don't have this value, and then we have EU West 1, EU West 2, US East 1, US East 2. So these are just some of the most simple use cases for actually aggregating your data, but count by and group by are going to form the foundational parts of how you form queries later on, especially when we start looking at more complex and highly decorated sort of fields that sit a level up from these, and will aggregate many of these different commands together to make really short but very, very powerful queries in DataPrime.